Tell me the younger generation is better. They're not. They're just poorer. They're actually worse. This is who they look up to. The family where everyone has their own private jet. And kids love Bitcoin, which, to determine the value of, takes an amount of computer processing that uses more electricity than some whole countries. Kids could have rejected that, but they didn't. They love it. Why? Because they want to be rich. Why? So they can fly private. Kerry is our climate czar, and he uses a private jet. It's like if the Secretary of Homeland Security smuggled drugs in his butt.
Bill Maher is calling out woke celebrities for their blatant double standards on climate change. Is full of stars who preach about saving the planet while quietly ignoring their own commitments. Maher sees the hypocrisy, and he not holding back. If you're here for sharp political takes, hit that subscribe button and let's dive straight into the drama.
Finally, new rule: if insanity is defined as doing the same thing over and expecting a different result, we have to stop being insane in our approach to fixing the environment and try something new. I don't know what will work, but I know what didn't work. Asking people to be good. Trying to convince our citizens and other countries to use less and pollute less, sacrifice more. When you tell humans, if you do these environmentally friendly things, we can all continue to live, their response is, what's in it for me? So just to be clear, I do still believe very much that climate change is an emergency, but I don't think we're going to win it by grocery shopping with a laundry bag.
Bill Maher isn't holding back when it comes to calling out celebrities who claim to fight climate change but settle for surface-level actions. According to Maher, many stars are more focused on signaling their wokeness than making meaningful efforts to reduce their environmental impact. They show off biodegradable shopping bags, eat ice cream with paper straws, or swap plastic for paper, symbolic gestures that look great on Instagram but barely scratch the surface of real change. While these efforts are better than doing nothing, Maher argues they pale in comparison to actions that would actually make a difference. Flying private jets, running energy-intensive productions, and maintaining massive homes contribute far more to carbon emissions than any paper straw ever could. Instead, Maher calls for real accountability. Cutting overall carbon footprints, embracing sustainable travel, and committing to measurable environmental impact actions that fight climate change rather than simply signaling virtue.
Scrolling on your phone can use more energy in a day than the refrigerator, but no one is going to give that up. We'd have to go back to having sex with people we know. And we all must be aware by now that what buying everything from Amazon does to the environment. But do we stop? No. The verdict is in. Humans are not good people.
Bill Maher doesn't put all the blame on celebrities. He argues that human nature itself is a major part of the problem. Humans aren't inherently virtuous, and even after decades of education and warnings about climate change, we still struggle to act in ways that truly protect the planet. Maher points out the irony. We know what needs to be done: reducing waste, conserving energy, cutting emissions, yet we often choose convenience, comfort, and self-interest instead. This isn't just a celebrity issue, it's a human one. From everyday people to world leaders, many fail to align their actions with what they know is right. Maher suggests that recognizing this tendency toward laziness and superficial virtue is key. It explains why feel-good gestures like swapping plastic for paper or buying eco-friendly products dominate the conversation. They're easy, they feel virtuous, and they require little sacrifice, even if they barely make a dent in the larger climate crisis.
It's just not in us, including me. And I'm tired of living not a lie, but it's also something I never mention, but it's a new year, and I'd like to come clean. My name is Bill. And I fly private. And so does every other person who calls themselves an environmentalist who can.
Maher doesn't hold back as he calls out celebrities who loudly brand themselves as environmentalists, but rarely follow through on their promises. With his trademark mix of humor and blunt honesty, he exposes the hypocrisy of stars who lecture the public about saving the planet while maintaining lifestyles that generate massive carbon footprints. What makes the segment especially striking is Maher's own admission. He openly acknowledges that he sometimes flies private, a confession most celebrities would never dare to make. By owning his contradictions, Maher separates himself from performative virtue signaling and adds real credibility to his critique. It's a bold, unflinching move that forces audiences to confront an uncomfortable truth. Many so-called eco-conscious celebrities are far more invested in looking green than actually reducing their impact, and Maher isn't afraid to call them out for it.
Now enjoy this fun photo collage of some of your favorite stars and politicians who speak about the need to reduce our carbon footprint, but who are always on private planes. That's right, all of them. If you don't see a celebrity's picture here, it's because we weren't allowed to use it. Or their series got canceled. But all the environmentalists of Hollywood and Washington do it. Their position on climate change is, we must do more to stop pouring carbon into the air, except for me when I want to go somewhere and then I take a private jet.
Maher doesn't hold back as he exposes the countless celebrities who routinely rely on private jets, a list that extends from Hollywood stars to high-profile politicians and self-proclaimed activists. The appeal is obvious. Private travel means skipping long lines, avoiding airport security hassles, and escaping the noise and chaos of commercial flights. It's the ultimate shortcut to comfort and convenience. But Maher's critique goes far beyond convenience. It's about accountability. Many of these same figures publicly champion environmental causes while privately maintaining lifestyles that contribute disproportionately to carbon emissions. Maher underscores this glaring contradiction, showing how luxury and ease often outweigh conscience when it comes to climate responsibility. By spotlighting the gap between words and actions, he makes the hypocrisy impossible to ignore, delivering the message with his signature blend of humor, bluntness, and sharp moral insight.
There is one thing in this world that is completely impossible to resist, and this is it. It's like heroin. If you do it once, you'll never stop. There are two kinds of people in the world, those who fly private and those who would if they could. A third category, those who could but do not, does not exist. Except for Ed Begley and Greta Thunberg.
Greta Thunberg is one of the few public figures who truly walks the talk when it comes to climate activism. Unlike most celebrities, she refuses to fly private, choosing instead to travel by sailboat or other low-carbon methods whenever possible. Her willingness to live by her principles sets her apart in a world where convenience and luxury often outweigh environmental responsibility. Maher points out that this level of consistency is rare. Most people, including politicians, activists, and Hollywood stars, either fly private regularly or would do so if they had the opportunity. It's not just a matter of preference, but a reflection of human nature and our tendency to prioritize comfort and speed over sustainability. Greta's approach, while inconvenient and sometimes extreme, serves as a powerful reminder of what real accountability looks like, a contrast Maher uses to highlight the performative gestures of many others in the public eye.
Ed and Greta, that's who walks the walk. Everyone else is full of shit, and I'm done being full of shit. I can take being a bad environmentalist, because almost all of us are, but I can't take being a hypocrite. Now, I always justified renting a plane because I only used it for work and literally could not get to most of my stand-up gigs on time any other way. How do you think I did it all those years? I said goodnight here at 8 p.m. and was on stage in Vegas at 10. But I don't need to do stand-up. like tomorrow night in Albuquerque.
Maher makes it clear he has little patience for hypocrisy, especially from those who preach virtue while practicing the opposite. He takes aim at public figures who lecture audiences about environmental responsibility, while maintaining lifestyles that undermine everything they claim to support. Flying private jets, he argues, is one of the clearest symbols of that contradiction. Maher doesn't mince words. If you want the luxury, speed, and convenience of private travel, then don't pretend to be an environmentalist. It's that simple. He calls it insulting when celebrities, politicians, or influencers moralize about saving the planet while jetting across continents in carbon-heavy flights. The message is unmistakable: actions matter more than words, and virtue signaling doesn't grant moral superiority. Through humor, blunt honesty, and flashes of moral outrage, Maher exposes the absurdity of performative climate activism and forces both public figures and audiences to confront an uncomfortable truth.
Outside of heads of state, almost everyone else could fly commercial. Why don't they? Ask anyone who tried to get home for Christmas last year. And don't tell me the younger generation is better. They're not. They're just poorer. They're actually worse. This is who they look up to. The family where everyone has their own private jet. And kids love Bitcoin, which, to determine the value of, takes an amount of computer processing that uses more electricity than some whole countries. Kids could have rejected that, but they didn't. They love it. Why? Because they want to be rich. Why? So they can fly private.
From the way things are going, Maher suggests the environment isn't likely to be saved anytime soon, and he doesn't hesitate to explain why. According to him, the younger generation, despite its reputation for being woke and environmentally aware, often ends up making the problem worse rather than better. Maher points to habits like excessive travel, overconsumption, fast fashion, and non-stop digital activity, all of which significantly contribute to carbon emissions and environmental damage. While many talk passionately about climate change online or take part in symbolic protests, their everyday behaviors frequently contradict those messages. Maher's critique is blunt: good intentions don't lower carbon footprints, and performative gestures won't stop global warming. He frames this as a wake-up call, warning that without genuine, measurable changes in behavior, the lifestyle choices of the younger generation could actually accelerate the very environmental crises they claim to care about.
No one can resist it. John Kerry is our climate czar, and he uses a private jet. It's like if the Secretary of Homeland Security smuggled drugs in his butt. People take jets to environmental conferences. If you could run TED Talks on hypocrisy, you wouldn't need coal. But sorry, not sorry. I tried to do my part for the environment. I never had kids. The one thing worse for the planet than private jets.
It's not just celebrities showing glaring double standards. Politicians are just as guilty, and Maher doesn't let them off the hook. While they form committees, host climate conferences, and create government offices dedicated to environmental action, their private behavior often contradicts their public commitments. Many of these same leaders regularly fly private jets, live carbon-heavy lifestyles, and engage in energy-intensive activities that undermine the causes they claim to champion. Maher highlights the irony. The public is urged to cut emissions, recycle, and make personal sacrifices, while those in power frequently ignore the rules without consequence. This hypocrisy isn't just frustrating, it's dangerous, eroding public trust and weakening the credibility of climate initiatives. By calling it out, Maher drives home a central point: real progress requires accountability at every level, from Hollywood to the halls of power. Talk alone will never be enough to save the planet.
Platform, so I'll do the right thing, and then everybody will follow. People will. Nobody followed. In 2021, 80% of new vehicles weren't electric, weren't even hybrid. They weren't even cars. They were SUVs and trucks. That's what people want. In 1973, The share of global electricity generated by coal was 38%. You know what it was 46 years later in 2019 after all the talk and all the trying? 37%.
Bill Maher's take on climate hypocrisy is equal parts blunt, funny, and uncomfortably honest. From celebrities to politicians, he exposes the stark gap between what people preach and how they actually live. Hollywood stars may show off biodegradable bags, paper straws, and eco-friendly products, yet many continue to fly private jets, maintain massive homes, and embrace carbon-heavy lifestyles that contradict their public messaging. Politicians fare no better forming committees and hosting climate conferences while quietly jetting around the globe. Even the younger generation, despite its reputation for being woke and environmentally aware, often contributes to the problem through overconsumption, fast fashion, and constant travel. Maher's message is unmistakable. Virtue signaling and performative gestures won't save the planet. Real change demands accountability, consistency, and measurable action, something exemplified by figures like Greta Thunberg, who genuinely live by their principles. In the end, Maher isn't just roasting hypocrisy, he's sounding a wake-up call. If we truly care about the planet, our actions must match our words, especially for those who speak the loudest. And that brings us to the end of today's video. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.